Daniel Bryan was released by WWE on April 30th, 2021, and rumors have been swirling about him going to AEW. What do we know about this right now?
So far, the rumor is that Daniel Bryan has already signed a contract with AEW, and he did this in person. And in September of this year, he will be making his debut for the company at the September 22nd show in New York City, which may have nearly 20,000 fans in attendance.
And do you think Daniel Bryan will be able to use the yes chant in AEW, or is that owned by WWE?
From what I've heard, WWE does not own the rights to the yes chant, and Daniel Bryan will be able to use it because you can't copyright the word yes.
And do you believe that Daniel Bryan will be positioned in the main event picture, or is he going to be more of a mid-level guy in AEW?
Well, part of the rumors about his debut on September 22nd in New York City is that he will show up on the show and confront whoever the current AEW World Champion is at that point, which will likely be Kenny Omega, and that will be his debut, and he'll be immediately put into the main event picture.
How much is Daniel Bryan's presence in AEW going to help the company? Because so far, the company's doing good, but they're definitely not to WWE's level yet. Obviously, Andrade and people like that. Do you think Daniel Bryan could help actually turn the tide?
I think it will help turn the tide a lot. Not as much as maybe another wrestler might, a bigger name wrestler, but Daniel Bryan does have a big name. He is a very famous wrestler, but will he really help turn the tide to where WWE is going to be getting lower ratings than AEW? I don't think so, but it's just another step in the right direction of where AEW will become even more competition.
Aleister Black was released by WWE on June 2nd, 2021. He then debuted in AEW on July 7th, 2021. And it looks like they're positioning Aleister Black, who now goes by the name Malachi Black, in AEW to be a big star. He just defeated Cody Rhodes, and the storyline is that he retired Cody Rhodes. So what are your thoughts on AEW's acquisition of Aleister Black?
I think it's definitely one of the bigger AEW signings in a while. It's one of the most surprising ones, really. Nobody expected him to show up, but because everybody thought that he had a 90-day non-compete clause. It was only 30 days. But I think he's been somewhat successful so far. It looks good. He's in a very top-tier position, and but, still the jury is out on it. We have to kind of wait and see what happens over the course of the next several months. But so far, it's gone a lot better than a lot of other wrestlers who've come from WWE to AEW.
CM Punk and WWE parted ways in 2014, and now he is rumored to be signing with AEW. What is the latest news on this really just gigantic news story?
So far, the rumors are stating that CM Punk has already signed with AEW and that he will be debuting on the August 20th, 2021 AEW Rampage show. Now, we have seen some teases on television of CM Punk coming to AEW. One was an interview where Darby Allin said a reference about best in the world, which is CM Punk's, one of his nicknames, that he's the best in the world. And a week later, we had a reference on AEW Dynamite where Kenny Omega was wearing a Cookie Monster shirt. CM Punk has said in interviews that the CM in CM Punk stands for Cookie Monster. And this was another reference to CM Punk. So AEW is definitely setting up fans for this huge debut, which will supposedly happen on AEW Rampage on August 20th in Chicago.
And once CM Punk gets there and, people see that the rumors were absolutely true, do you think that the ratings are going to see just a huge increase, not only in that night, but from then on?
From what I've heard, actually, from wrestling insiders, wrestling journalists, that the ratings are expected to go up. And if they don't go up, this will be a huge disappointment. Not only do you have a wrestler like Daniel Bryan coming in, but you also have CM Punk coming in as well around the same period of time, and this supposedly is going to help the ratings. Will it? In my opinion, I think it will. Will it get to the point where AEW is actually, Dynamite or Rampage gets better ratings than at least Raw? I don't think so. I don't think Dynamite in August, in September, and October of this year are going to get higher ratings than Raw. But you never know. You never know. CM Punk at one time was a big star, and there's always been fans wanting to see him come back. But I don't think that this will lead to any AEW show beating Raw yet. Andrade was released by WWE on March 21st, 2021, and he made his debut for AEW on an episode of Dynamite on June 4th, 2021. Now, in your opinion, what do you think about Andrade's performance, how AEW's used him so far in these last 2 months since he's been with the company?
Unfortunately, it's been a failure. Let's face it. It was a bad idea to bring him in with Vicky Guerrero as his manager, and then bring in Chavo Guerrero. I don't think has worked either. I think that, Andrade is supposed to be a great wrestler, yet they're just doing a promo with him every week where maybe he'll talk a little bit, his manager will talk. I say let him wrestle and show the world just what a great wrestling talent he is, and forget about managers and all this other stuff. Ric Flair was released by WWE on August 2nd, 2021. And now it is rumored that he is about to sign with AEW. What do we know about this?
Well, supposedly Ric Flair will be signed with AEW, but he's not going to be able to debut until November 2021 due to a 90-day non-compete clause. Now, a lot of people didn't know that Ric Flair was actually signed to WWE. They thought that, he would just make occasional appearances. He wasn't actually signed to the company. But little did people know he actually was signed. Now, supposedly, the reason why he was released by WWE is because he made some comments to Vince McMahon, I guess texted him, about some things about Charlotte's current storyline that she's involved in, and he was criticizing it. And Vince McMahon didn't like this, so he had Ric Flair released. WWE released Mark Henry in April 2021, and he made his AEW debut on May 30th, 2021 at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And now Mark Henry is going to be part of the AEW Rampage announce team, which features 4 commentators: Mark Henry, Chris Jericho, Excalibur, and Taz. What do you think about this 4-man announce team?
I think, 3 is already a crowd, and 4 is just literally insane. When I heard about it, look, I want to tune in and see, what's this going to be like? I think from what I'm hearing, the original plan was to do Taz, Mark Henry, and Excalibur, and they weren't happy with the test shows they did. So they said, you know what, let's bring in Chris Jericho. So we'll see what happens. But I think Mark Henry as a commentator is a complete unknown. But I'm going to tune in because I think it's going to be entertaining, whether it works or it doesn't. NXT superstar Adam Cole is rumored to make the jump to AEW. So basically what's going on is Adam Cole's contract expires on August 31st, 2021, and WWE, NXT, they want to keep him, but they want to keep him in NXT. Adam Cole doesn't want to be in, the minor leagues. He wants to be in the big leagues. And WWE doesn't want him on the main roster right now. So he's thinking about going to AEW. What's the latest on this?
Basically, what's going on is WWE officials are worried that if they do put Adam Cole on the main roster, he will get buried because Vince McMahon will think that he's too short. And now it's being rumored that Adam Cole will soon be signing with AEW because he wants to be there for two reasons. His girlfriend is the women's champion there, and also he's probably going to get a big push. So, and it's also rumored he will be debuting on the Dynamite show on September 22nd in New York City, along with many other wrestlers who are rumored to debut on that show as well. A former WWE wrestler who was the leader of a faction is now rumored to be signed with AEW. Ruby Riott, who was released on June 2nd, 2021, is now rumored to be signing with AEW very soon. And there are rumors that she will have a brand new name, which will be the Runaway Ruby Soho.
I think in AEW, Ruby Riott is going to get the push and is going to be able to be showcased in a way that in WWE she wasn't able to. In WWE, even though she got those championship matches at pay-per-views, she was basically a jobber. So in AEW, I think she is actually going to be the wrestler that we've all thought that she could be someday and go to brand new heights. In February 2021, WWE and Big Show parted ways, and then, a month later, he showed up in AEW and went by his real name, Paul White. So, Paul White has just been used as a commentator on the YouTube show AEW Elevation. He has not wrestled yet. So, what's the status of him being a wrestler? Is that ever going to happen, or is he just going to be a commentator?
From what I've heard, there is really no plan for him to wrestle anytime soon. But if he does wrestle, it won't be for a small-time show like a Dynamite or AEW Rampage. It will probably be for a big pay-per-view. So it will probably happen one day, but it may not happen until 2022.
Chavo Guerrero was released by WWE in 2011. And then, in July 2021, he showed up as Andrade's manager in AEW. So, why did Chavo Guerrero join AEW?
From what I've heard, the reason was because AEW officials were not happy with Vicky Guerrero managing Andrade because they felt that it just didn't, they didn't mesh well. So they got Chavo Guerrero, and they feel so far it has been successful. But I think the jury is still out on it. We're still going to have to just wait and see what happens with Chavo Guerrero and Andrade.
My only criticism of Chavo as Andrade's manager, I feel Chavo, in his promos, he's a little too comedic. I think he needs to be a little more serious because Andrade is a true contender in AEW.
Christian was released by WWE on February 1st, 2021. And he made his surprise debut on March 7th at the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. What do you think of Christian's AEW run so far?
Unfortunately, just looking at the reactions from the crowds in the AEW arenas, I don't think they've accepted him. I think they really see him still as a WWE guy. For whatever reason, they just haven't accepted him like they've accepted other WWE wrestlers like Chris Jericho. It could be that Chris Jericho, after he left WWE, he made a name of himself in New Japan, on the independents, places like that. I think Christian, unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. And whether or not Christian gets a world title shot soon, he's not going to win. And after he loses, he'll be relegated to the mid-card. And I don't think we'll see him getting another title shot after that in the near future. There is big news about Lana and her current status in AEW. So Lana was released by WWE on June 2nd, 2021. And now there are rumors that she either has signed or is about to sign with AEW and join her husband, real-life husband, Miro, who formerly went by Rusev in WWE. What is the latest on Lana's status in AEW?
Well, AEW has told Miro that to mention Lana in all of his promos, all of his talking segments, not by name, obviously, but just to mention his wife. And this is being done as to set up Lana to manage Miro in AEW. And there are rumors that she will be debuting on the September 1st, 2021 episode of Dynamite as Rusev, as Miro's manager. Juventude Gurerra was released by WWE in 2006, and he made his AEW debut on Dynamite on August 4th, 2021 in a match against Chris Jericho. Now, sadly, Juventude did lose this match to Jericho, and he was also attacked afterwards by Wardlow. And from what I've heard, AEW officials were not pleased with Juventude Guerrera's performance in the ring, so they're probably not going to bring him back anytime soon. So WWE released this NXT tag team called Ever Rise on June 25th, 2021, and they made their debut in AEW on the August 4th, 2021 episode of Dynamite, where they had a six-man tag match where they wrestled as the team 2.0, and they lost this six-man tag. Now, from what I've heard, this was just a tryout match, and Ever Rise, who now goes by the name 2.0, will probably not be signing with AEW unless they gave a great performance. And from what I've heard, AEW officials were happy with it, but they're still not sure if they're going to sign 2.0 to a contract.
There is breaking news about the Fiend Bray Wyatt and what his current status is in WWE and AEW. So what we know right now is that WWE has zero interest in bringing back Bray Wyatt, even at a lower cost. So right now, according to sources, Bray Wyatt is in serious talks with AEW. If he actually does sign the contract, he will join the company as a Fiend-like character, and he will be masked. He will have a similar persona like the Fiend, and the reason why he wants to do this is that WWE cut the Fiend's storyline off because Bray Wyatt supposedly had all these great ideas for things to do with the Fiend, and now he's going to bring those ideas to AEW with this new Fiend-like character.
Yeah, from what I've heard, this version of the Fiend, he'll be less paranormal, less supernatural, but they are going to have there are going to be some supernatural elements to the character, and this may upset some AEW fans when this new version of the Fiend debuts in AEW. But these fans do need to realize that Bray Wyatt is a big name, and AEW needs big names to get themselves to a point where they can actually really compete with WWE television, with WWE programming. And there are actually rumors that this is a ploy by Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, supposedly, he is releasing wrestlers so they can join AEW, and he hopes that what happened to WCW, where they signed all these WWE wrestlers, they'll go out of business just like WCW did, because they're signing all these WWE wrestlers to big contracts, and what will happen is it will just lead to the company going out of business because they have so many big contracts paying these wrestlers. They're just running out of money. I don't know if this ploy is going to work, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
And obviously there's going to be trademark issues, copyright issues. You know, if this new fiendish character in AEW that Bray Wyatt's going to play, if it's too similar to the Fiend in WWE, obviously WWE's lawyers are going to come down on Bray Wyatt and AEW. So from what I've heard with the rumors about this, he felt the Fiend was too, I guess you would say, PG. He wants to make this a very adult Fiend character where, oh man, this guy really is out of his mind, and he truly can do anything he wants to anyone at any time, and he will take no prisoners. And this guy is the epitome of scary and frightening So we'll see if the wrestling purists who love AEW, if they will accept a very over-the-top movie-style character like this new Bray Wyatt Fiend character. What are your thoughts on CM Punk and the Fiend Bray Wyatt signing with AEW? Leave a comment and give us your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and be sure to click the bell notification so you are notified when we release our next video.